to my favorite bunch of beauties. Welcome back to the channel. Today I am talking about the new Hourglass Ambient Lighting Unlocked palette, and I have it in the shade Lotus Flower, which is the deepest shade. I am so happy to get my hands on this. Not that I just don't feel like these things are going to sell out like they did before. I don't know, I could be wrong, but still I was happy to get my hands on it. And what I wanted to do is sort of compare it to the other two palettes that I have, as well as to do a few swatches, which I think I'm going to do first. I don't have any, I have bronzer on, but I don't have any blush on, so I'm going to be using the blush in here today. But this is what the palette looks like. And I think 5 out of these 6 shades are supposed to be new. So the first shade is a highlighter called Gilded Strobe Light, which is this one. So this is not new. The second one is a blush, and that one is called Desert Flush. And then you have the finishing powder. This one is not new. This one is called Finishing Powder in Eternal Light. Then you have number 4. This is a highlighter, and this is called Radiant Rose Strobe Light. Then you have then you have a blush in the middle called Red O. And then the last one is a bronzer called Bronze Heat. So this is what the palette looks like. I am going to do just a few quick swatches. Where's that box? Okay. So the first one I'm going to swatch is the highlight in Gilded Strobe Light. And I'll have a highlight on today, so I'm probably going to try this too. But this is the Gilded Strobe Light. The second one is the blush in Desert Flush. So you can see what they look like on someone of my skin tone. So that is Desert Flush. The third one is, it's harder to look on the back of the box. The finishing powder in Eternal Light. So you may or may not see that one on me. It is, to me, a little dark for a finishing powder, but I'm going to try it anyway. So it's right here. You can kind of barely see it. And then number 4 is the highlighter in Radiant Rose Strobe Light. So I'm going to put that one under the other highlighter. This, to me, and this is Radiant Rose Strobe Light, looks more like a blush topper than it does a highlight. Now, if your skin is darker than mine, you probably can very well use that as a highlight. The next one is the blush in Red O. Really deep, pretty red color. And then the last one is the bronzer, and this is in Bronze Heat. So we'll put that under the skin finish, and we'll see if that is indeed deep enough to be a bronzer. So it's kind of right here. So that is Bronze Heat. So these are the shades. This is the skin finish, which might be a little on the darker side, but yeah, that's what this color palette looks like. Alright, so now what I want to do is sort of compare it to the 2 palettes that I already own. And one of those is, this is really the palette from last year. So last year I went on to the Hourglass website and I picked my own packaging. So I picked the owl, but this is the color story for the snake palette. And I'm going to show you that compared to this year's palette. So the snake palette is here on the top, and the Lotus Flower palette is on the bottom. And I'm trying to find a good spot for you to see the colors. But if you look at the two bronzers, this one at the bottom, which is the Lotus Flower palette, is definitely darker than the bronzer from last year. The bronzer from last year almost looks, I mean, it looks a little bit cooler, but it can remind me of the finishing powder from this year. Just a little bit cooler, slightly darker. The blushes are straight down the middle of these palettes here. And I can see a difference, but I feel like I can also sort of compare this one, which is, this one is from the Snake palette, number 2. This is Coral Haze. I'm going to actually swatch that on the back of my hand. Actually, this one comes out looking sort of ashy. And then we'll do that Desert Flush up under it. And as you can see, the top one is actually from last year's palette, the Coral Haze. The bottom one is Desert Flush. So yet again, a deeper tone. And I'm trying to see, looking at the two palettes, there is not much, to me anyway, that is the same between the two. What I will tell you though, I'm going to show you the Tiger palette. And we are going to compare that to the Lotus Flower palette. So the Tiger palette is on the top. And then Lotus Flower is on the bottom. And it looks like this is the bronzer from the Tiger palette. This is the bronzer from this year's palette. This one looks deeper than that. I'm going to actually swatch the two on the back of my hand. I'm going to swatch the Tiger palette first. And then I'm going to swatch the Lotus palette. And actually putting the two of them on. They, so this is the, this is actually, which is confusing, the Tiger palette, which in the pan, it looks deeper. And then this one right here is the one from the new palette. It looks deeper on the skin than the one from the other palette, which is confusing because when you look at them in the palette, the one from the Tiger palette looks deeper. So a little bit confusing. Glad to see that their bronzers are getting a little bit deeper. They can still go even deeper than they have been, but they are going a little bit deeper. So I'm going to put all three palettes together here. And let's see if I can hold them like this. It's sort of, they feel sort of magnetic, but anyway. These are the three palettes. You have your Tiger at the top, you have your Snake in the middle, and then you have your Lotus Flower at the bottom. So I do think that there is enough difference in the three of them that you could still purchase this one this year and not feel guilty about it. What I do want to do though is I don't want to go crazy with my blush today. So what I'm going to do, oh, I didn't get all the paper off of this one, but I did also pick up the brush, and I'm hoping that some improvements were made because I know there were some complaints. But this is the brush for the Ambient Lighting palette, and I got it in the Evil Eye because they didn't have it for the Lotus palette, and the snake one wasn't that cute. Also because I'm into the Evil Eye for protection. But I want to take the shade, I think it's Desert Flush. Yeah, and use that for my blush today. And I know that these things can sometimes be a little pigmented, so you need to be careful. So we are going to start here. And this one on my skin tone feels like it's very subtle. I don't even know if you can see it on my skin, but it looks very subtle. I think what I'm going to do is take the red O. I'm going to be careful with that because look at that. And I'm going to put that on this side. Yeah, that one definitely shows up. In order to get enough on my cheek for you all to be able to see it, I would have to look like a clown. But that is the Desert Flush. And let's just put a little bit more on there. Just to, because this one is super subtle. On a lighter skin tone, it might be a little bit more noticeable. Now I can kind of see it, but that is the Desert Flush. It's pretty, but super subtle. And then you have this one. That one really, really pops on the skin. You have to be really careful with that one. And then I'm going to try the two highlighters. On the Desert Flush side, I'm going to try the strobe light, gilded strobe light. Really pretty. Wow. I'm not used to their things being so blingy, but that's really pretty. Had to tone that down a bit, but it's pretty. And then I'm going to try the Radiant Rose strobe light on the side with red O. This one to me seems more like a blush topper. Really pretty though. Yeah, really pretty. So they don't let me down at all. I am actually going to go into the finishing powder, and that is Eternal Light, which is this one, and we shall see how that looks. I probably should use another brush. Let me just brush this one off a bit. Yeah, now let's go back into this one and just it is actually pretty. I like it. I thought it was going to be making me look dark, but it does not. So if you are like my skin tone or darker, I think this is a good finishing powder. I am always impressed by the formulation of Hourglass powders, especially their finishing powders. But yeah, that is really pretty. So yeah, so it looks like the only thing I did not try, and let's just do it. Let's just do it over top of what I already have. Here is the bronzer. And let's just see. don't know if that is a true representation of the bronzer, but maybe you can see here. This bronzer to me is a little bit on the cool side, but that's fine. But yeah, that is it. That is my quick sort of review of, I mean, I knew I was going to like it because I always like their powders and love it when they bring them out for the holidays. Hate the price because every year it goes up. This year it's $90. But love that this one seems deeper than the last two. This one, I mean, this one still woman of color friendly, but the new one just seems a little, it seems like they're getting progressively deeper with the shades that they put in. And what I do also like, and what always draws me in, is the artwork on the palettes. I like the magnetic opening on the palettes. Their artwork never ceases to amaze me. I didn't like the snake one, so we'll just put that right there. I love this one, so I just got the different packaging and then the tiger palette. So they really do put a lot into their holiday palettes, which I absolutely love. I am going to get quite a bit of use out of this palette. I'm going to try to get use out of all of them because these things are expensive. So they need to be used all the way down until you hit pan on all shades. So that is it, you all. That's my little review of the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Edit Unlocked palette in Lotus Flower. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. If you are already subscribed, please make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when I have a new video coming out. Have a great day, and don't let your day be a waste of makeup. Bye.